And welcome back to News Sources. Now, opposition leader Raila Odinga now says Jubilee government does not believe in the constitution. The former Prime Minister, who was welcoming persons living with disability to his Orange Party, said President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy have failed to hold the values of the constitution.
If you fully implement the provisions of the 2010 constitution, people with disabilities in this country will make a very effective contribution to our society. The problem that we've been having right now is that we have a regime in power which does not believe or care about the provisions of our constitution. That's the reason why we still have not fully implemented the provisions of that constitution.
Okay, so the former premier seems to find every opportunity to hit at Jubilee. Jubilee is on the back of the ropes. Somehow everything being thrown at them at this time sticks. All right? Oruko?
And somehow...
So this has come from nowhere.
I want to disagree with him. Because, yes, the constitution is very broad. And there are areas where Jubilee obviously is not interested in implementing, like the devolution and maybe the fight against corruption and all that. But around, the issues around the people living with disability, I'm not very sure. I'm not very sure, maybe because I'm not one of them. Yeah. But I think they've tried. They've tried because now there is an element of giving them an equal opportunity in government in terms of jobs and all government buildings now, I'm sure they are user-friendly for people living with disabilities. So I think they've done their best.
Haima?
Actually, I want to concur with Oruko, now that he called me his younger brother, my senior. The Constitution had its own time frames, and there were time frames with which each aspect had to be actually set in motion. And it had to be, there are some that were to be implemented progressively. So I don't know where exactly you can say this regime, as where we stand, 2010, we are now like in the 6th year. So you cannot actually pinpoint like this aspect. There has been zero movement.
Is it time we do an audit of the constitution that we have and look at where we are and say, have we achieved 100%? And even if we achieve 100%, are we clawing back on any of those things?
I think for the former PM, it's a good time for him to use such salvos. It's a political time. We're just getting into the next general election. As it is, like Ibrahim says, we need to be looking at what has been done and what has not been done vis-a-vis the time frame. Stock taking of what has happened. But I don't think, I mean, the disabled or the people living with disabilities have had some semblance of recognition in the current system than they had before.
The question is, could we do more?
Let me say, before he goes on, I think there has been an audit of this constitution. But maybe by the Auditor General, I think, and you know, but the focus again was always the wrong one. You know, you people just love money. We spend so much on a wage bill. You know, it's just about wage bill. We went there to audit this constitution, and the verdict was that we are overrepresented. We didn't need less MCS. You know, to me, that's how maybe we went for the sexy part of this excitement. You know, that's me. We lost it out.
It's not me what I think. The PM is partly also to blame because this constitution, both sides of the political divide were supposed to ensure this constitution have been implemented. Some of the bills, the laws that have still been deferred, they've been deferred in Parliament, and they have not been done, and they've been passing motions to postpone it. So I don't think this is solely a problem of Jubilee. CORD also has its share of blame. They should take it collectively and say, let's audit it. The sections that we plowed back, how can we do it to ensure that we give Kenyans exactly what they voted for in 2010?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
besides when you come to the House Business Committee that prioritizes the business to be transacted, both sides of the divide have their members that sit on that can determine. So in one way or the other, I think it's again that season of firing political salvos. And you know, the former PM PM knows how to test waters. So maybe he has just unleashed this one to test waters and see the reaction. Maybe there's something under the sleeve, but you cannot exactly pinpoint where this particular administration, you can say, they've failed to implement a certain aspect.
Looking at what happened during the debate on the gender bill, where they're supposed to increase the representation of women in parliament. I mean, both sides of the political divide actually failed Kenyans.
No, but also given Raila was there.
Even the women
For
are
the
to
second
blame.
round, the National Assembly, I think that was on 31st March, the PM, not 31st March.
The day Jacob Juma died.
Yes, the day Jacob Juma that avoided the meeting of the two.
Yeah.
Raila himself went to Parliament
To lobby.
and he could account for his opposition troops. They were in the house. That
So
is
he
where-
can say that
he can say at least that. That is where the other side,
Okay.
they were accused of, they were actually monitoring, for those who were in Parliament, they were monitoring proceedings on
All right.
screens instead of being actually in the house. So at least that one we can give him credit
Okay.
for trying to marshal, even though it was a second attempt. What happened to the initial attempt?
Let's move on. And Deputy President William Ruto and Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho are locked in a bitter war of words. Governor Joho is accusing the Deputy President of disrespect and getting his hand at the cookie jar all the time. On his part, the DP is accusing Joho of buying academic credentials. Take a listen. It's good.
Na wale mandugu zangu hapa Mombasa wanajaribu kushindana na mimi nataka niwaambie, I am not available for any contest with you. I am not available. Mimi sina, kama uko na bahasha ama sijui ni sanduku ama sijui ni gunia, hiyo ni yako. Mimi sifanyi biashara hiyo. Mimi namuogopa Mungu.
All right, and Joho's response is fast and coming later on. But this has been building up for a while. When Joho came up with, is it the ODM 10 over 10? He specifically picked Ruto as the target for his salvos and his attacks. Strategic, isn't it?
I think for Joho, he's trying to fight for the business, the family business. And one of the barbs that they're getting into is over the dry ports and all that kind of thing. The Johos have CFSs in Mombasa. If you moved the CFS, if you introduce dry ports in Naivasha, it means that CFSs in Mombasa won't have any business. So for him, he's fighting for the family business. And on the other hand, you look at the way ODM politics has played, especially after Joho organized the anniversary for CORD in Mombasa, and following the failure of the dinner party at Laiko Regency, Joho has come up strong. So he looks like a potential successor to
Raila. Yeah. Where's this going?
One thing I always want to sympathize with the deputy president. Always with the knack of engaging into a war that is best left untouched. He was here with one Boniface Mwangi, and you see what happened to him. Now, in my view, this was a war that, but it's embarrassing, when a young fellow tells you that you have no reputation, Here again he is. I think what you didn't say was that the challenge he got from Joho. For example, if it's a political war, right? Why does he go under the belt then? What about fake degrees? Ruto has grown through propaganda. It has sustained him all through. So whenever there's a serious opponent coming, he has no other weapon and no other mandate to fight back. So he's always in small wars that don't advance his interest as a deputy president. So to me, that was not a proper war.
Did you read it as that?
I think a war is a war. I don't know how you can gauge a small war and a big war, but clearly for the two, they have a history. Remember that they were very strong in ODM. And even in January, there was that acknowledgement of who fished who from where and how they fought together under ODM. Where their point of departure to an extent where the Mombasa governor said he told his party boss not to waste time engage the DP, that is his match. I think that's where the battle line was drawn. And I think that's where the DP has said he has realized maybe he will not try to engage that. But again, Joho is not a small man. He's a governor of county number 001. So he equally has some clout, if you could say, that he couldn't. Of course, with the experience-wise politically, the DP is more senior. But where that war will end, where it started, cannot actually...
For me, what I think is, remember, Jubilee is coming into a CORD stronghold. And Joho has been seen as a face that is rallying CORD support in the coast. So for the DP, this was the right entry point. You hit at the top so that now you create an environment for exchange, so that now Jubilee can make their own inroads into CORD's area. And that's why you remember when Jubilee was having their rally in Tononoka, Joho and Kingi were also somewhere else, just trying to rally members, ensure that as much as Jubilee is here, we still have our people. So for me, I think this is also targeting 2022, that here, if I am able to marshal this and retain our turf, then I will face you in 2022.
But remember what Joho did during the Malindi by-elections. Joho came up strong, rallied as much as Jubilee tried to put in inroads and send guys there, including rumors of pouring money in that place. Joho came out very strong.
And he won.
And he won. And the person who most led the Jubilee troops was the deputy president. And so that was a spite on the deputy president.
Let's move on to President Uhuru Kenyatta. Says he almost called International Criminal Court, that's the ICC prosecutor Fatou Bensouda, to impress on her on the American situation. Nori says once Americans started protesting, the thought of asking ICC to pay attention and see if there was a crime committed there crossed his mind. Listen to the president.
Recently, we saw what happened in the United States. Despite the fact that there were violent demonstrations, in fact, I was quite tempted to look for Fatou Bensouda to put a case against post-election violence in the United States.
Is that a fair blow? You know...
The only funny thing that he laughed at his own joke, but there's no joke there, because it's not true that there were violent demonstrations in the U.S. It's not true, compared to the scale where Kenyans were locking them in the house, panga wielding and all that. I think it was not a very fair joke. And actually, from the president, this joke must also end. This ICC nonsense must just go, it must just end. It's over. The court determined on its own merit that there was no evidence to prosecute them. So the matter is over. If it was a Kenyan case, by then they would have been jailed.
Okay.
But so let them also respect people.
Yeah.
There are people who are still hurting from these things. So many people. There's a guy who was burned in the house in Naivasha. The whole family went down. So why don't we just keep quiet over this matter and say it was a dark time of our history? We'd rather forget it.
Is it a fair joke?
I don't think it's a fair joke, because I remember I was there when some of this violence broke out, and you could see they were just going and demonstrating, and they were not attacking people. I was in...
It was a protest.
Yes, yeah. I was in Washington, D.C., and I was walking people were protesting, and we were just walking. Roads were not blocked, people were not being attacked. It was just like a normal day. So you can't compare that with what we experienced in Kenya, where people were being locked, people were losing lives. It went to being tribal. It was a tribal clash. So to get such from the president, I think that was just too unfortunate.
Was it anywhere comparable to 2007, 2016?
No. There's no comparison amongst the two situations in Kenya and the US. I think the president was just trying to light up the conversation or his speech as he was going. I honestly think that if he sat back and thought again about what he said, he would not say it again. I think it's an unfair comment for especially victims of post-election violence in Kenya.
Hamba, is it being interpreted wrongly?
No, but I don't think I need to add more on what is being said. Clearly, the joke was cracked and it was lost somewhere, because there was no comparison by all standards. And of course, unless we want to interpret it politically, if I want to put on my political lenses, of course we know the statement of choices have consequences. The past regime, the Obama regime, was like hard on the Jubilee regime. So I'm sure maybe that informed the reason, because clearly the president was jovial. Trump is similar to what we experienced in Tanzania, the Lowassa Magufuli And it's also, there was no
The question,
comparison. There was
the
nothing
question, as you answered, is the question of African countries, opting out of the ICC is also heavy on the mind of the president and everyone else, because they say ICC is being used and has been used by the imperial powers to, prosecute them.
No, let me say, one, it was not a joke. The president is mocking the ICC. That, yeah, I'm free. Why did you do that? It's a mock. That's the truth. It's not a joke. This cannot pass out as a joke. But the issue around the exit from AU, from the ICC, again, is another joke also. We have spearheaded it. It has gone nowhere. For the simple reason, Africa, other than being a geographical place, there's nothing in between. There's nothing. We have no diplomatic power. We are nothing. Precisely because there's no African leader who is being targeted. Any accusations against an African leader, trust me, it's true. It's true. It's true.
Where do we go from here? 20 seconds. Obala.
It's hot.
I'm lost for words, especially when it comes to ICC and the comment that was made. I'm lost for words.
All right. Let's finally, Anglican Church bishops from the Western Kenya have told of the government officials flaunting development records, saying their focus is on material things, that they are focusing on material things that aren't helpful to the common mwananchi. The bishops say the Jubilee government should be more interested in alleviating poverty and feeding the poor, and pet projects such as the Standard Gauge Railway should amount to nothing. Take a listen.
Yes, we are being told that they are building the railway, they are reconstructing roads, they are connecting people on power. But if you connect these things, if you create this infrastructure, and people are being humanized with poverty, the development, the core of development, the center of development must be people.
I think the first, hard talking bishop, I would say, in a long time.
But I think there is something with the Catholic Church, and if I'm not wrong, we could be headed to the era of Archbishop Raphael Mwananzeki, where the church was the church. It started in Embu when they've banned actually Harambes in church and all that. Now that it could be a message that the Catholic Church wants to reposition itself, because of late they are really taking very hard line positions on the government. So I don't know whether there is a revolution, but for now
something is happening. Certainly,
I think the bishops are speaking on behalf, especially the Western guys, are speaking on behalf of the Western Kenya, of people of Western Kenya. One, sugar has died. The sugar industry has died, basically because of cartels that are importing cheap sugar and the likes of it from outside the country and bringing it here at the expense of the local industries. Two, Pan Paper is dead. Now, looking at their congregation, which is in Western, of what economic benefit what has been done? Nothing so far. So they are just speaking what the common mwananchi is not saying. But in essence, they have impoverished the whole of the Western
The church hasn't been speaking in a while, Roslyn. This is shocking.
Because one way or another, there was that hope that, hey, it's the year of Jubilee, so let's pray.
And I think this is why we are even seeing now the church coming in, because if you see the way the bishop was talking tough, he's one of the bishops who come out to declare the interest in contesting in the next elections. So that just tells you that maybe the people have pushed now the church to come in and just bring some sanity into the kind of politics we
and
are
say
seeing.
Something.
And just say something, yes.
When I don't know, these are Catholics or Anglicans, yeah. You remember when their Archbishop tried to tell the president to his face during the burial of one Ntimama, the Tanglash came fast and furious. Yeah, he was dismissed by the president. But again, the church is to blame because it also went into a comfort zone, forgot its flock, and therefore, so it's too little, maybe too late. Too bad for us.
I don't know, is it too late?
I think the church just wants to do what it's supposed to have done before. There's always been, the media has always been referred to as the fourth estate. They have been there have been other estates. There has been the executive, there has been the judiciary and the legislature. Now, the church, and the clergy, the church has always supposed to play its role.
Part of the thing. All right. I asked on our question tonight, Twitter poll, if you think the IFMI system is to blame for the rampant corruption, and 59% think not, 41% think absolutely yes. So, IFMI system to blame. I think had some responses here that are coming up on Twitter. Okay, I'll retweet those responses. You've been watching News Sources. Tankana Hayamba, Dominic Opala, Ibrahim Oruko, and Rosin Novala. Thank you very much. Always fun and great to have you. Come again. That does it for us on KTN News Sources. Coming up next is KTN Prime with Sophia Anuna. Don't go too far.